definitely. My experience, I think when you look at it from a human perspective, it's far easier to take a tennis player who's a good tennis player, but not a nailed-on world-class tennis player, or not a nailed-on superstar. It's far easier to say why they won't succeed and what they don't do well. And it's like you say, there's a huge part there of it's almost self-preservation. So it's easier for me to say they won't do it, they don't do it, I'm right. It's far harder to say, do you know what, I'm going to stick my neck out a little bit on the line here and go, you can do this. Let's give this a go. Let's not put a limit on it. Again, top 100 is this this big thing in tennis, but also why not top 50? Why don't we talk about top 20? Let's not limit it. We don't know. Let's do the work. Let's find out.
Ian MacDonald, brilliant. You were recommended by Luke Johnson, and here I have you.
Good to be here.
All to myself. Obviously, we know each other. We've worked together for a long time with the Bath Academy.
Yeah.
I've obviously seen a large part of your coaching journey, and I must say you've done extremely well. And I'm very proud of all the work that you've done and do.
Thank you.
But I ask everybody to give their kind of a trailer of their life. So why don't you just give us the listeners an idea of your background and up to sort of this point in time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first, thanks for having me, Dave. Nice to be here. So a sort of an overview of me. I'll work backwards. So currently I'm the head of performance tennis at the University of Bath. So in charge of anything to do with the performance side of our program, the support staff, and obviously anything in the tennis side of things. So, excuse me, I'm coming to the third year of that now. Before that, I was heading up the pro team, so the professional squad of players that we have at Bath, which is obviously the beginning of that is where I met you, Dave, and that's quite a few years ago now. So I've been in Bath since 2007. I started my coaching career at Millfield. Before that, I was at university. So I was at the University of Cardiff. I also did a year in the States in Arkansas. As a sort of my tennis journey, I was a decent junior, sort of a national standard junior. Obviously played from a young age. I did 2 years at Millfield School in the sixth form. And then, so that's a quick overview now. So I personally live in Bath, father of three kids, which certainly keeps me on my toes when I'm not at work. Married to my wife, who 10 years this year, which is
wow,
seems to have flown by, which I suppose is a good thing, isn't it? I wouldn't dare say anything else, just in case she hears it.
She's standing there with a cricket bat behind her.
Yeah. You know well. Yeah.
Right. So, as you know, my first question is, which two people have influenced your life the most in your opinion? I know this changes over time, but what came to your head? And only one can be a family member. So who have you chosen?
Well, it's a hard question. Obviously, having come across so many people, work with so many people, obviously so many people on a personal side that have contributed to where I am now. So I think I've sort of cheated. I'm going to cheat a little bit with this answer. So I've kind of got two on the personal side and two on the professional side. Obviously, I think the main one that on the personal side, maybe not the main one, but the biggest driver of my tennis when I was young was certainly my dad. He was kind of everything in that sense of what we were trying to do, and the time he put into my tennis when I was a kid was phenomenal. And I look back on it now, and also I think learning now, being a tennis parent myself, and my little one starting to play, you kind of appreciate these things even more. I mean, the hours he gave up, the weekends he gave up was phenomenal. And I think it's fair to say at times I probably wasn't the easiest, certainly through my teenage years. And again, I think his patience, his resilience, I think his determination as well to do the best for me, I think is phenomenal. And
maybe he should have been the tennis player.
Well, yeah, I think at times.
I mean, what you're pointing out is all the attributes a tennis player needs.
Exactly, yeah.
But it's true. Parents need those attributes.
It's phenomenal. And honestly, I think what watching a video of him whilst I was playing was probably more entertaining than watching me play, because I think saying he was a player, I think he did play every point that I ever played. And I also think it's the fact that I was never in the sort of the favoured group when I was a youngster. So, you know, God knows how many schemes there's been over the years. But when I was a youngster, it was the Rover scheme. I was never one of those. And so we were kind of always a little bit on the outside. And but yeah, again, just through my dad sort of like pushing me and getting me to the right places and giving me so many opportunities, I ended up beating most of those and getting to a good level. So again, I think that must have taken a lot of resilience. It was he really was the driver, which again opened up the door for so many opportunities I've had in later life. So I think he certainly was. Yeah, he was huge. I think
one thing I want to say, I'm sure you guys also had a lot of fun together.
We did. We did have a huge amount of fun. I think also, again, we had some tough times. Like, don't get me wrong. And I think like I'm sure any tennis parent can resonate with. There were some car journeys where we didn't say much, but yeah, we had a lot of fun. And we went to some, as you do with tennis, some very interesting places around this country. And we spent so much time together, and it was great. And I think actually probably when I went to Millfield for the 2 years, I think there was in some ways maybe a little bit of relief because he didn't have to do it every weekend. But equally, I think he also missed that a little bit as well. So I think that was kind of an interesting time to go from really him being the one driving it to then not having as much control. I think was an interesting time. But we did have a lot of fun, and we had some great times and some memories. And again, I can remember matches and centres that I played from God, like I'm talking like 35 years ago now. So it was amazing, and I certainly wouldn't have be here or in my career. I wouldn't be here where I am now without the time that he put into it. So it's something to be honest, something I probably should thank him more for, and things. But
appreciation project.
Exactly. Yeah. No. It is. I think. I'm pretty sure I have, but it's.
Well, I'm sure if he watches this, he will get the message.
I'll have to give him the link if he knows how to work it. So that certainly in my younger years was my dad. I think on a personal side, obviously later as I've grown in my coaching life, Liz, my wife, I think has been incredible. I mean, you know what it's like being a performance coach is not easy for personal life and relationships and that side of things. So I think it's she's been obviously incredibly strong and supportive, unbelievably good at bouncing ideas off her. She's always got an idea, and more often than not proves and points out that I'm wrong, which although is wonderful, can be a bit frustrating at times because she's normally better than me. But yeah, she's been brilliant, and that's that's something. Yeah, certainly I think it's very hard to be a performance coach and all that comes with that without having that support and that at home. So I think that personally those two have obviously been huge, and as I say, there's plenty of others there, and but yeah, those two have been fantastic. I think then on the professional side, there's two that spring out, really stand out for me, and both since I've been at Bath. So first, I think it was my old boss, Baz, so Barry Scolo. So he brought me to Bath actually back in 2007 when Bath was the national centre, and it changed status to
High Performance Club.
I think it was High Performance Centre or International High Performance Centre back then.
Yeah, that's right.
Changed so many times. I think we're an IHPC. I think that's what
that's it. International High Performance Centre.
Yeah, it got down to. So yeah, he brought me in. it was a gamble all round in many ways. You know, I came to Bath now 18 years ago. I came to Bath on a 3-month contract. So I took a gamble to leave Milford where I was. I felt like it was the right time. I felt like I was ready to do something different. Baz at the time was sort of interim head of the program, but nothing in that sense for him, nothing was official. And then I think it was the January, I came in the September, I think it was the January, then it became official that he took over, was officially in charge. Then obviously that made my contract official. And yeah, you know, a lot of it, we you know, Baz was a young head of the, young lead of the program. And obviously I was a young coach. So we did a lot of learning together. There's sort of a lot of exploration of where we take things, how we do things. But I look back at him as a leader and my boss, and I think he struck a great balance with me. Obviously being, ambitious. I wanted to go for it. He found a really good balance of sort of giving me space and giving me the reins to go for it. But equally, I always knew he was supportive, and also I knew he'd give me a kick up the backside if I was out of line. And I think the way he kind of struck that balance of the freedom, gave me the chance to lead, gave me the chance to make mistakes, but equally was always there for me. Always again would offer advice. And he kind of always felt I had my back. I think was really great leadership. And again, I think it's
he had an unbelievable talent for that.
Yeah. And again, I think it's now leading and also leading ambitious coaches. Yeah, it can be quite challenging. It's when people want to push and people want to go and they really have that drive. That does bring challenges, and that can bring uncomfortable moments. But Baz always found a way to be pretty comfortable with that. And I always felt Baz was very open as well about sort of being happy having experts or people who know more than him around him. And I think that was just a brilliant part of leadership. And certainly that's something I've taken. And obviously part of that, he brought yourself in probably 2 or 3 years into sort of mine and Baz's
end of 2009 it was.
Yeah, so just over a couple of years in, and that's where I think I think he was brilliant, and again very very secure in himself, saying let's bring in an expert, someone who's been around it and done a bit more than us in the game. And I think that as a leader, I thought was just a brilliant trait. And
he had to bring me in because we met in a service station and we talked for more than 2 hours. So we both got fined like 150 quid. You can't say no now because you owe me.
That's too good. I mean, what great things haven't started in a service station on the motorway, hey? But he was great and still a good friend now and still he still offers me support and help, and I can always give him a ring, and we keep in touch and still have a good amount of crossover. So he was brilliant. Yeah, he was brilliant for me as a coach and let me do what I want. But also, I think I've taken a lot of what he taught me as a leader into my leadership now. So he was great. The next person on a professional side, obviously, was yourself, Dave. I've been coaching for 5, coming up 6 years. I think when we met, I started in 2004, properly coaching. So I'd had a level of success when I met you. I was coaching some good juniors who they were international level juniors. I was ambitious. I wanted to really go for it. I think a lot of the coaching was coming quite natural to me, and I built a good rapport with these players. But I think on reflection and then meeting you, I think I had lots of good ideas. I was prepared to try these ideas. I think piecing it together and fitting it together is where I needed the help. And I think I didn't totally get the whole process and quite how things came together. I look back on it and I can remember some of the drills I was doing as a younger coach, I still do now. And I kind of knew I was somewhere along the right lines, but I just didn't quite get the whole picture and the whole piece. And that's where I needed that experience, that mentor to come in and just sort of, build on what I'd begun and paint the picture, fully understand aspects of the game which I hadn't sort of almost ever experienced or fully understood. Aspects of coaching. As you know, I was as a young coach, as ambitious, but I was pampering to the players. I was doing, trying to do everything, and again, I'd had a level of success. So at that time, I almost didn't know any different. But you look back and you think, well, I had so much to learn at that young age. But you need someone to come along and help you. That you need someone to come and open your mind to the learning. Someone who can help you, can show you. Again, I think it's a bit like I said about Baz. I think you did it very well with me, where you gave me a bit of rope, try it, have a go, no, pull you back, let me fail, come back, don't let me fail too big or at the wrong time. And again, I think it's not easy doing those things with
no, but I think
coach. But
by the time I came to Bath, I had really honed my skills. And I remember back when I was coaching a Dutch girl, Amy, and we were in Spain, and Eric van Harpen was there, who coached Conchita Martinez, who eventually won Wimbledon. And I remember thinking in my head, this guy's not very good, because they would play practice sets together. And I was very keen and eager, and I'd be, talking to her quite a lot. And he sat in the umpire's chair and watched the set.
Yeah.
And once he called her over and said something to her. And then at the end, he said a couple of things to her, and that was it. I thought, this guy's not even a coach.
Yeah.
But of course, in hindsight, you learn that just saying the right thing at the right time is all that's necessary.
Yeah.
And I certainly, overcoached in my early days. So it's a very common thing. And I think, I remember saying to you, if you take on board what I'm saying to you here, you will be a brilliant coach, so much younger than I was, because you as you say, you need somebody to put that through to you. And I kind of had to learn through a few years of hard experience to realize that I was overcoaching. Good stuff, but you paralyze the brain if they've got too much inside, and you're pushing too many things into players' heads.
Yeah.
So what you were struggling with is very normal. And I think coaches out there, if I could give any little bit of advice to young coaches, is you're probably overcoaching, and try to maybe get around an experienced coach and see what it's like. But if you can't get around an experienced coach, then just think very carefully about how much you speak to a player and how much you get involved in sort of every point when they're playing and stuff like that. But yeah, sorry, I interrupted. Carry on.
No. I mean, I say that, that's obviously, the work that we've done, and our relationships evolved over the years, certainly. And it's been great. I think there's I've been around obviously some other good coaches and I've learned from them, but I think it was I think the point that you sort of touched on there, you said to me fairly early, you said, my goal is to make you a better coach than I am at a younger age. And I think that was a really key bit with the mentoring side of things, because I think you can go and speak to experienced coaches. I think you can take a lot from the experienced coaches, but a lot of them are still, it's about them. So you're listening to what they say and you're picking it up, but it's still about them. They're not so interested in your development. They're interested about everyone thinking that they're the best coach and that they know everything. Whereas I felt like you did have my interest and my coaching at heart. So, and obviously, that still involved a lot of listening and picking up what you said and watching how you operate. But I think that did resonate with me, because okay, yeah, you might give me a kick up the backside when I need it, or even call me out if I'm talking rubbish. But it's at the best interest of me, as opposed to being called out by someone because they're just trying to show you up and highlight the fact you don't know something. And I think that's something that certainly I've taken into now, being the mentor and helping the younger coaches. I think is a really important bit, because I think that's something I'll touch on a bit in one of the later questions as well. Getting people on your side. Once people know you're on the side, once people know that you believe in them, that's actually how you can be far tougher and get into far more quality conversations and tougher points and really highlight it, than someone who kind of you just feel like it's just having a go at you and trying to show you up, and then you kind of almost you back away from that. So I think that that feeling and certainly that comment stuck with me. I mean, you must have said that to me about 14, 15 years ago. So that stuck with me for many years. And now as hopefully, I hope the younger coaches feel
now you're a better coach than me.
No, not absolutely not at all. And I think that was in no way do I feel that. And obviously, as you,
I mean, how do you judge that anyway? We all have our own style and everything exactly. Like that.
But I also think it's that as you've shown and continue to show, you never stop learning, right? You're always trying something new, trying to find something different, try a different avenue, pick up something here or there, and the
game evolves. So what worked for me, 7-8 years ago, would not work very well now. The principles are still the same, but in many ways, I feel like the tennis tour in total has caught up to some of my methods and even surpassed it. And so you have to really reflect and think about what the modern game is and evolve your coaching. Otherwise it's very easy to become a dinosaur very, very quickly. You have to keep your finger on the pulse. But I think what you said there is very important. I think players feel the same thing. Is I always say a committed coach that a player knows cares is probably better for them than a great coach who doesn't really care. Because it's very difficult to take on board anything when you feel like the other person doesn't really care whether you get it or don't.
They don't care what you know until they know that you care. Is that right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
So moving on, what sort of event or conversation maybe happened in your life? And again, if you look back, there'll be several conversations or several events that happen that obviously move your life in a certain direction. But if anyone kind of stands out for you, or at this particular moment, in a couple of years that may change or whatever, but that kind of shaped you, altered your perception, whatever.
Yeah. Again, it's an interesting question, because I kind of reflected on this, and I think the major thing that's changed my perception, and I'll touch on this actually a little bit more in a minute, but I think the major thing that's changed my perception on things and my professional life obviously has been my kids. But I think if we go sort of before my kids, so still to the largest chunk of my coaching career, I don't think actually I had realized how much the past had shaped me in what I did and how I coach. And I think, again, we go back to some of the things I was saying about my dad, and that's the idea of I was always a junior. I always felt like a bit of an underdog. I was always like the outsider in that sense. I was never part of the main group, and that almost that underdog spirit. So I was always kind of I felt like I was always out to prove myself. I had to prove that I could beat those guys that were part of the establishment in some ways, which sounds more dramatic than it is. But I think that has definitely come through into my coaching far more than I realized. And it's not like I've ever sat there and thought, I'm the underdog, right, let's go out and prove it. But that's certainly something that has come through in my coaching, and that determination to get those players to succeed Again, just probably, probably a lot of the players have succeeded beyond their expectations, and that idea of that real, that drive to push them and to get the best out of them, and to be that person to really help them to kind of make a name for themselves, and ultimately obviously also help me make a name for myself. So I think that side of it, and again, going back to some of the things that my dad taught me, that determination, that resilience, that certainly comes through in my coaching. And again, that's only through reflection. I say that's not something that was intentional. I think that's just something that was in me. I think the other thing that's been massive in my coaching is something I didn't feel I got actually from coaches when I was younger. I felt, I say my dad was unbelievable at where he got me and the job he did. What I think I lacked as a junior player, as a talented junior kid who could have been decent. I'm not saying world class, but could have been decent. I think I really lacked someone to sit down with me and sort of share that vision and share that idea, share that journey. Show that the coaches believed in me, but never really shared the whole vision of what I could do or where I could go to again get me to buy into what I need to do it. So it was almost quite sort of small, and not small mind is wrong. I don't want any of the coaches to feel like that's negative, because there's some amazing people and they helped me so much. But I just lacked that. Someone say, right, actually, if you sort it out and you pull this together and you get your stuff in order,
the inspiration,
a little bit of that. There was no reason why I couldn't have been a very, very good tennis player. And some of the guys that I was beating at juniors ended up having successful tennis careers. And I think not having that is something I try to do quite strongly with players these days. Is the vision of painting the picture, of showing them. And again, I'll touch on this again. It's kind of crossing over a bit into my beliefs a little bit about showing them the way, and trying to inspire them to want to really explore what they can do, what are the possibilities, or go for, almost just go for it. Here's a reason why you can be good. Let's go for it, and let's see where the journey takes us. And you look at some of the players I've worked with. Their journey's gone far, far further than they thought they would ever be able to achieve, and that's I just think that's amazing. And I think that's something that I probably didn't have. And again, I had some brilliant coaches when I was young, and so many things they did have also helped me in my coaching. But I do think had I had that from someone, I think that would help me. So I think that's as you know, I wrote a book, and one of my things is you need to paint the dream. And then kind of forget about it. Say, look, this is where you can go. Now let's do the work to get there. Yeah. But I think that gives the real purpose to the work, doesn't it?
Yes.
I'm going somewhere, and I needed that, as opposed to I was quite hot-headed as a player. Yeah. And everyone said, sort it out, stop being a hothead. Yeah, great. But I think I had someone really painted the picture of why. Yeah. If you can do this, if you buy into this, I think that's so much more powerful than just do this or stop doing this. And
it's hugely powerful, especially. It's hugely powerful for everybody, I think, to have something that they're aiming for, that is inspiring. Not the smaller goal is important because it's one step towards a bigger goal, but you've got to really believe in the bigger goal. Yeah. So the sacrifices of the smaller steps feel worth it. Gives you that extra motivation to do the tough yards, really.
100%. And then that's, so I think that's, I think that not having that is certainly, the fact I didn't have that in my playing career. And as I said, I'm not sat here saying I'd have been a world-class player, so probably not having that saved me a lot of time, money, and effort.
And money,
And it's definitely benefited my coaching, because I think one of the things that I didn't realize, and things that I do far more is I reflect on things, and I did a master's a few years back, just at the end of COVID, and I realized then how much I reflect on things. And that was kind of when I started to piece things together, actually, that a lot of what I've done in the past has factored into the way I am now. So I think that's, I think those themes have come from me as a player. The amazing, I said some of the work from my dad, and then into my coaching, I think has been strong.
Yeah, they become drivers. Things that held you back possibly have become drivers to push others forward.
Yeah. And then, I think the sort of biggest event in my life that, I'm very, I've lived a very fortunate life. I haven't had a hugely negative event where I've lost someone close, or that's changed anything, or changed the way the way I do things, or the way I see things, or the way I believe in things. But the kids definitely has put a different perspective on things, a different slant on things. I think, I go back to when my first was born, which is he's 9 now. I was still kind of pretty much all out, go then. And kind of steadily, especially then I had the second, and the third I'd already changed sort of tack a little bit by then, but it did put a different perspective on it. And I think it really made me question whether I want to, the dream of taking a player to the top of the game, which I was obviously working towards trying to do. And when I look at what that entailed, the 30 weeks, 35 weeks on the road, at that time, it's like, no, that's not where I want to sort of be right now. And don't get me wrong, I'm sat at home sometimes, and the ego part of me goes, I should be on the tour. I think I could work with that player. I think I could improve that player. But ultimately, I know sitting at home going, I could be on the tour, I believe I can be on the tour, is not as strong a feeling as being on the tour going, I should be at home with my kids. So that was something then. Okay, so then that made me reflect and I go, well, I haven't lost my ambition. I haven't lost my drive. So I need to rechannel that into a different route. So then obviously becoming a leader of the program and taking on all of that entails, which is huge, and learning how to become a real leader,
but also helping
all of
younger coaches
exactly
without those responsibilities to achieve their dreams.
Yes, and that's
I think that's a powerful driver as well, because I see the young coaches in the program thriving. We see Tiana and stuff, and Jordan and all the coaches, really the young coaches, thriving, and their kids doing well, and so that if you can have anything helpful to share with them to help their journey. I think that is a fantastic achievement in itself as well. I mean, it's.
I feel quite, I suppose, lucky in the sense. I think I managed to. There was definitely a bit of soul searching around that time of what do I want to do, where do I want to go, how do I want to do it, and COVID was kind of. When these thoughts were kicking in, it was the COVID kicked in. So like I had that time at home. I was forced, I can remember I was traveling with Sam, and she was on a great run, and she got to Australian Open. That was a tough trip. She wasn't fit on that one, but then we came home and we're off again, and then stuff. And it was like, God, I've been on the road a lot here. And then COVID hit. So we got back from. I remember I got back from Sunderland. She just started to find the form again. Then she went off to South Africa, and she did the first week in South Africa. She won that week, actually. And then basically that was it. COVID hit. So, kind of the world stopped. And I think in some ways that was a real blessing in disguise for me, because it gave me a bit of time just to, kind of decompress a bit and think a little bit here. Well, I've got 2 little ones now. I'm away a lot. I'm loving it, but equally, where's this going to go? What's the next step? So having a bit of time in COVID, then obviously coming back, and then Baz changed his plans and his ideas. Then he moved somewhere else. Then I got to take his role. So I kind of got lucky with a few things. But also I think I'm quite lucky in the sense I think I've been able to get perspective on things. I think this is where Liz is brilliant with me, because she bounces the ideas off. I can bounce the ideas off her, and she helps me with it. So I managed to gain perspective on that, and I gained perspective on the fact that I can still channel my ambition and my drive just in a different way. And I think that can be quite tough for people, because they kind of they
it's a little bit like an identity change.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and they can get a bit lost, and then they can maybe not feel as driven or as motivated. So that could have been, I think, quite a challenging time. And to say in that sense, certain things I think actually, obviously not by design, COVID, obviously, but I think actually with hindsight, it did help me. It did give me a bit of space to reflect and change my mindset a little bit on things, and then luckily, for me as well, obviously, didn't want Baz to leave at all, and still miss working with him, but actually did in the end work out quite well for my career, because that offered me a chance to stay where I want to be, and love living here, but also go in a slightly different direction. So stroke of luck and things that also paid in the end has worked out well.
That's great, Macca. And my last question to you is, what do you believe are your superpowers, and your key beliefs that are your foundation as a person, really, and as a coach?
Yeah, I found that interesting. I suppose this maybe shows my silly sense of humor. When you talk about superpowers, I was like, well, no, I'm not going into Bath with my cape on. But I think superpowers. I'm not sure about superpowers, but I think
it's another word for strengths, really.
Yeah, I think it's I think my strengths. I think I'm a positive person. I'm a very positive person, and I think when you look at my career coaching wise, I've worked with a lot of players that when I was working with the pros, they obviously tend to have come out of college, and they were they'd invested a lot in tennis, and a lot of them said, right, I want to carry on my tennis journey. I want to play pro. Did a lot of them truly believe they can get to the top of the game? Probably not. They enjoyed it, they loved it, and they wanted to find out. But I think when I looked at the players and I thought about their journeys, I think quite quickly I got this. I coach from the point of view of looking at someone and going, okay, these are the reasons that you can make it. Whereas opposed, I genuinely think, and that might sound common sense, but I do think generally people look at players and go, well, these are the reasons why you're not going to make it. And I've always looked at those players and go, okay, this is why you can make it. You have these raw materials, that this is why you can be good at on this journey. And this is what we've got to explore, and this is what we've got to find out. But there's a genuine reason why you're here, and there's a genuine shot at becoming a world-class tennis player. And I think because of that, that's how you can build belief in a player. And we touched upon it in an earlier point, excuse me, that when you're coaching from a positive, you're coaching from an angle that you believe in someone, you can then start to unpick really what needs to happen, because they're going, okay, this person does believe in me. He does want me to do well. He thinks I can do well. So let's get into really what is needed to do that. And I think that's led into, to me as a person, is I'm very much a solutions over problem person. I don't tolerate very well people feeling sorry for themselves. I'm like, accept something, find a solution, let's go again. So I think that having that, taking that kind of mindset of going, okay, this is where we are. This is the way to get forward. You can do this. These are the solutions. Now let's go to work. And I think that
I want to just interject here and ask this question. Would you say that, and certainly in my experience, too many coaches are caught up in effectively top 100, top 50, and it's very easy to dismiss a player and say, well, they don't really have what it takes to get to that level. So there's no real point. And, I mean, two things. I've always found that very arrogant because you just don't know. When we're talking about players that are coming back from college, and some of them, they're pretty damn good tennis players already. It's not like they're not talented and don't have a lot of attributes. So I think, when you say people, there's no point, they can't, it's a very easy thing to say because, very few people do make it. So you're going to be right most of the time. Yeah. And I almost think that sometimes coaches, take pride in being right and saying this person won't make it, whatever that is. And they don't even define what make it is. And of course they can say, yeah, well, I was right.
Yeah.
I don't see that as the job. I've always seen the job as you look at what people have got, and then if I could form a vision in my head of how they could play, and it looked pretty damn good in my head, then I was like, right, let's go for it. Yeah. So my question is, your positivity with that, which clearly I agree with. Is that your experience that there's not that many coaches that will come from the angle of looking for all the reasons why somebody can succeed, and come more from looking first at the reasons why they can't?
Yeah, definitely. My experience, I think when you look at it from a human perspective, it's far easier to take a tennis player who's a good tennis player, but not a nailed-on world-class tennis player, or not a nailed-on superstar. It's far easier to say why they won't succeed and what they don't do well. And it's like you say, there's a huge part there of it's almost self-preservation. So it's easier for me to say they won't do it, they don't do it, I'm right. It's far harder to say, do you know what, I'm going to stick my neck out a little bit on the line here and go, you can do this. Let's give this a go. Let's not put a limit on it. Again, top 100 is this big thing in tennis, but also why not top 50? Why don't we talk about top 20? Let's not limit it. We don't know. Let's do the work. Let's find out, and let's accept where we are. I think is, there's no BS. There's no BS from me that I'm stood there going, I'm a superstar coach, and everything I say is that I'm saying this is the vision that I have for you. This is where we can go. These are my beliefs. This is what I see good tennis as for you. Let's do the work. And I think if you then, again, you've built that pit, you built that vision, you built that picture, and then you just every day you do the work. That's when good things can happen. But it is far easier to judge. You're not going to be this because of this. Well, you can watch any tennis player in the world. You can watch the best tennis players in the world right now. You can sit in your armchair and you could say, that could be better. Well, that's not tennis coaching. Tennis coaching is finding the solutions, is working with people. It's working with them to find ways to improve and to overcome challenges and to build on strengths and develop the areas that can be developed. So that's what coaching is getting under the skin of people and going, I have a belief in you that you can be something. So, let's give that a go. And as long as then I think another strength I seem to have, I think, is building relationships. I think I have a way, I think, maybe again from the positivity, from building belief in people. Certain people might say I'm quite good fun to be with as well, is that I have a good way of getting people on side and building a relationship. I also think a key thing with me is I think I'm quite authentic in being me. I'm not going to BS you. I'm not going to come with stuff that I don't believe is true. I'm happy to admit if I'm wrong. I'm happy to admit that maybe there's areas of weakness that in my knowledge or in my expertise. But I think having that just authenticity about there is a belief in me that I think you can do something, whether that be working with a coach, whether that be developing Bath as an academy, or certainly when I was working with players, that that's generally what I believe, and then going sort of having that passion then to try.
Well, you can deliver if you can build the relationships. It's a lot easier to convey that belief into other people, and I think you can remember when I started Bath, I used to have the individuals with the coaches every sort of quarter, and it was in those one-to-ones where I'd say the real relationships were built, and the trust is built there. Yeah. And as long as you don't do things to break that trust, then the belief in what you're trying to do and what they're trying to do is very strong.
Yeah,
that's brilliant.
I'd say there's a couple of other things that spring to my mind with that. Again, I think I believe in myself as a coach. I think I on the whole. Others might disagree, but on the whole, I think I keep the ego in check, and I think something I'm quite good. And again, maybe this is something that I built younger, not sort of being part of the main group. Is that I think I'm good at sort of at seeing and hearing before speaking. So I'm good at I'll listen, I'll watch, I'll look, I'll try to understand. And then, I'll form an opinion on those things. And I think some people, again, just fly in. It's all about them. I know this, I know that, and that's something I think that I'm quite good at as well. And I also think the other thing as well, and it ties in with the first point about building belief, is tennis is, obviously, as you know, is a nut sport where every week, pretty much, you get told you're not good enough. You lose a match. Tennis is a game that's based around failure. You're just trying to fail forward a little bit more and a little bit more. So, you have to be incredibly resilient and strong in your beliefs and being brave and still saying, well, actually, just because you lost a tennis match, it doesn't change what you can do. It doesn't change what I can see. You just didn't get it right then. And
just sometimes it's really tough when you travel all the way to Australia and you're there for 2 matches.
It's brutal. It's so tough.
That's real resilience. The flight back ain't easy.
It's crazy, but it's you can have it certainly when you're building in your first year as a pro. You can take 30 losses and it can still be a great year. I mean, that's brutal. You think about any other sport where someone takes 30 losses. You're going to have someone sacked. They're going to lose their job or whatever it be. But in tennis, you can still have a good year. And I think the other thing as well that goes with the journey and building these players is that there's that high level of sort of monotony. Really, you've got to just keep going, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, and then you get your little breakthrough, don't you? You have your little, they got it right for a week, or they got it right for a match, or they got it right for something, and that that kind of gives you enough spark. But it's
here we go.
Exactly. then you're knocked down again. But it's when you see it, you've got to stay brave, you've got to stay strong, and in that sense, I suppose, believe in yourself and also be prepared to try things to unlock it. And I think it's and that again comes back to the point, isn't it? It's far easier to say, "No, you won't do it," or you didn't do it, but it's because of you, or it's because of this, and it's going, well, all right. If I see something in you, I'm going to do my everything I can to try to unlock that, and that's day after day.
Yeah, I think everybody in general underestimates the time that takes.
Yeah, and just the constant disappointment, go again, and ultimately,
because people think they see players at the very highest level, but I mean, players at the very highest level for where they're at, they can feel like they're failing because they're not finding a way to jump to the next level. From 8 to 4, or it's 4 to 2, or you know, and so, you know, it's all relative.
Yeah.
But it is, you know, the same shit, just a different level.
Yeah.
And the understanding is obviously at a different level as well. But the monotony is, it's generally the same problems, just at a more and more sophisticated level.
Yeah. And again, I think that you know, we've been lucky, haven't we, with obviously having so many greats of our sport, and potentially we got two new ones that are coming through. But they as you say, they're constantly showing us what you got to go through. I mean, look at Sinner. He's just lost the match points. I mean, he was killing Alcaraz in the final of the French. Lost the match. Everyone's like, you know, how amazing Alcaraz. You know, Will Sinner's not beaten him for however long now. And then 4 weeks later, he's in the final of Wimbledon. Here we go again. Here's your chance. And look what he did. He overcame it. And you know, I thought he was by far the better player in that final. I mean, Alcaraz, you know, he had the disappointment of Australia. You know, he was talking about, I lost my fun, lost that side of it. He's then come back. Obviously, then he wins the French. You know, and again, an amazing achievement. So, and again, I'd be fascinated to know from the top guys. But you know, you take a lot of them. You know, you take Federer, however many he won 20 Grand Slams. I'd be interested if he talks more about the 20 Grand Slams or the Grand Slams he lost knowing he should have won. You know, the match points against Djokovic, the final when everyone thought, and probably he would have said, I should have beaten Del Potro in the final of the US. Yeah. It's things like that, you know. And again, that's why these guys were so great, is because they that constant drive to be better.
Yeah. McEnroe and the French.
There you go. You find, you know, again, it just keeps you going, and it's in that sense, you know, that's I suppose when you look at it, it's an obsession, isn't it? It's constant. Yeah. You just want to find that next thing, that next little breakthrough, that next bit of success. But I think the more you do it, also you do realize, and probably when you step away from it a bit, you realize that actually that's almost more the fun bit. It's not holding the trophy and having the win is fantastic, but equally it's like, well, actually, the fun bit is going, what are we going to do next? How are we going to get?
Well, it's only the 1% on the top of the journey. You know, those moments. Yeah. You know, obviously for the greats, it's maybe 2%, or 3%. But for every other player, it's, you know, it's there's a lot more lows than there are highs. Yeah. But the highs will wipe out a lot of lows, and that's why they do it.
Yeah.
And why we do it, or done it. Great. Thanks very much, Macca. And
thanks for having me.
Next week, it will be your chance to ask me the questions.
Put you in the hot seat.
Sorry?
I said I'll put you in the hot seat.
You put me in the hot seat, yeah. Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thanks
Appreciate
a lot.
it.
Cheers.
Thanks for watching Locker Room Power with David Sammel. If you enjoyed the episode, hit subscribe and leave a comment on your favorite platform. See you in the next one.